Good morning. If you look at mushroom manuals, you will often find that there are a few species that seem affiliated with calcareous type of soils. And this is a bit of a mystery to me, because especially if you've seen the previous video when we are looking at the mine heap, the type of soil, normally the nature of the soil, doesn't have a major influence. What has a major influence is the plants we find here. Is the plants. And well, on a calcareous soil you still find the same type of trees than in a normal wood, so there is no very big difference in the nature of the trees. So that's what we're gonna verify today. Let's check. We know that, for example, there are morels that grow in spring that are more abundant in calcareous soils. So what about fall mushrooms now? That's what we're gonna check today. And so it is a lovely morning. It's relatively early. There is 8 degrees Celsius, and after a long dry and warm period, we started having a little bit of rain yesterday. So I hope that we'll find something. Let's go. So here that's a very tricky combination, I must say. I've never seen that before. It grows on dead wood, as you can see here. And it has these pink colored gills, which are, gives me probably that it's a Pluteus. Also the gills are free, as you can see here. The colors are very peculiar. This kind of, I don't know, it's peach color actually. Peach on the cap, pink on the gills, and a bit yellow on the stipe. This combination of colors, and that's also what Obsidentify gives me, is that it's Rhodotus something. But this Rhodotus species has usually lots of veins at the surface that could have been disappeared here because the mushroom is a bit older. But even on a younger individual, like on the left here, still don't see any white vein that is covering the surface. So I would rather think it's a Pluteus, and among Pluteus species there are not that many that are that color, that have this combination of color. We have Pluteus aurantiorrugosus, which has the cap that is orangish. Here it's more peach than orange. I give that's true. On the other hand, it's a little bit older, so maybe it's just because of age that it looks a bit paler. Then the stipe is white with yellow base, which would quite correspond to the description here. And the flesh is white and yellow at the base of the stipe, and yeah, you can see that indeed at the base of the stipe the flesh is yellow. I think, I'm not sure, but I would call it a Pluteus aurantiorrugosus. But I'm not 100% sure, so if somebody has another opinion, I'm happy to hear it. Anyway, it's quite, it's a rare, it's the first time I see this species, and it's supposed to be quite rare, whether it's one of the two. Pluteus aurantiorrugosus. This is Auricularia mesenterica. It belongs to a group called the Auriculariaceae. Some of them are edible and very common. And this one, you can see it's making this kind of consoles that are stuck to the substrates from the top of their cap. So you see underneath here all the hymenium here that leads to the spores. The texture is very gelatinous, and it's making all these veins at the bottom in a color that is grayish, brownish. Normally it's a bit more colored, and you see also that the younger part of the caps are a little bit pale, and it's quite hairy on the top. You will see that in a second. You see how hairy is the top. It comes on dead wood, especially on dead wood of deciduous trees. This is the hymenium seen from underneath, from the top and from underneath. You see all these veins, and actually where I've put my finger, you see the fingerprint pushed on the spores. It doesn't look super appetizing, but it is actually edible, like its cousin Auricularia. Auricularia auriculajudae, which is, I think, the black mushroom of Japanese restaurants. So it's edible, but you have to take it young, otherwise it's not very tasty. And you don't have to, you have to like the texture that is very gelatinous. Tiens, what does it smell, by the way? Let's take a small piece. It smells absolutely nothing. Tracks here. Il est full. Oh, je vais me casser la gueule. C'était chouette. Rabbit holes everywhere. But no mushroom. So we are in fields right now. Say hello to the bees. Oh, good kiss. So we are in the middle of fields right now. Cultivated fields. It's not rangeland. In cultivated fields you will find very few mushrooms for several reasons. The first one, and the main one, is actually that the tilling of the soil is breaking down their mycelium. So their underground part, that is their vegetative part. So there are a few species that survive to that, especially if it's done every year. And the second reason is that there is lots of nitrogen, and there are not that many mushroom species that are very fond of nitrogen. There are a few, but not that many. But mostly it's because of constant moving of the soil. There is a kind of dense brush that is restricting the access to a little forest nearby. I have to find a way in. Is it worth it? That's the question. I will lose some skin. I will bleed like hell just for finding no mushrooms. It would be a pity, but we'll try. I wanted to go here, but apparently this is a badger site. Sorry badgers, I won't disturb you this morning, it's Sunday, you also have the right to rest. smells also better. There are so few mushrooms that it's turning into a hiking video, I'm afraid. Even under hook there is nothing. Looks like all the mushrooms used all their strength to produce sporocarps a couple of weeks ago, and now it's already too late. There's nothing left. There's also lots of nitrogen. Huh? It doesn't help either. You see that there's all this rubus all over the place. Usually under oak, that's where we have lots of mushrooms. Not this time. And the more you wait, the more stunning it is. Finally. Some serious stuff. I'm very happy we found this one. This one is Clitocybe geotropa. Geo soil, atropa attracted to. It's Clitocybe that is attracted to soil. Tell me which fungus is not attracted to soil. So Clitocybe geotropa, first of all, it's a very large species. See, it's about 20 centimeters here. And see the size of the cap, it's enormous. And it is like all Clitocybes, funnel shape cap. And the geotropa usually should have a little nipple in the middle, and you don't see this. These individuals are a bit old, unfortunately, so you don't really see it. We will check that it's not a Lactarius. We never know. There are some big Lactarius that have also this shape, but you see that there is no milk produced. And so the shape is funnel shape. The gills are going down the stipe. This is according to this very large size and this color that is a pale ochre. It is also growing in troops. This is Clitocybe geotropa. The stipe is also a little bit larger at the base, but mostly what is characteristic is the size, the color, the fact that it grows in troops, but also the smell. It's enormous, the size of my face. Yeah, in the books they call it cyanic smell. I don't know why I call it more like an old grandma's perspiration. Not that I often smell old grandma's perspiration, but I remember in my childhood there was an old grandma that was visiting my parents, and she smelled like this. So something like it has this a bit spicy perspiration smell, if you see what I'm referring to. Yeah, the way people perceive smell is very different from person to person. So, people who write mushroom books, they call it cyanic, I call it perspiration. You make your own choice. Probably something in between. But this is typical of two species, Clitocybe geotropa, Clitocybe nebularis. Nebularis means cloud, it is grey, so this one is not grey, it's beige, it's Clitocybe geotropa. This geotropa is edible, or this one is way too old, and don't eat that, it will be bitter and not tasty, but younger specimens will be tasty. And it's interesting to find it here because it's a species that has a tendency to be calcicolous, which means it likes soil, the calcareous soils. And here is the nice surprise. Clitocybe geotropa, much younger this time and much nicer. You see the shape like a funnel, very large size. This time they are younger, so you see they are cream in color, but very large size, funnel shape, decurrent gills, and a very strong long stipe, also pale in color, slightly larger at the base. And the smell, It's much fresher now. It's better when it's fresher. It smells less like perspiration, a bit more like almond indeed. Very beautiful. Quitte aussi beige trop pas. Finally something after hours of wandering around and not finding anything. Finally a mushroom. Oh, a very unexciting one. This one is very much unexpected here. Actually, it's a mushroom that you will find normally on grass, and we are not under grass here. In fact, grass is not very far away, but we are not in a grassland yet. However, this is a typical species of grassland. This is Marasmus oreades, and you recognize it by first its size. It's not very large. It's 5 to 8 centimeters tall. The color, which is pale beige. And which changes with degree of humidity. So you see this one, for example, that is from the same species, but under the leaves, and it's much more humid, and you see that it's darker in color. But always you have this kind of nipple that remains in the middle. You see? Always a nipple in all of them in the middle. It comes in troops. The gills are very large as well. See how large are the gills. Very large gills, and also the stipe is very tough. So the stipe, you cannot destroy it. It reminds you probably some Lacaria species, but this is not a Lacaria. This is Marasmus. Marasmus are traditionally the species whose stipe is so tough. Marasmus oreades, which is usually coming in fairy rings in grass. Here it's not really a fairy ring, but there are quite a lot at the same spots, and we are not really in grass but nearby. This species is very tasty. You only have to remove the stipe that is too tough. And the smell is actually very nice. It smells again like a mushroom, and very tasty mushroom. Let me check again. On the fresher, yeah, these ones are a bit dry, unfortunately, they lost a bit their smell, but it has a very fresh mushroom smell with a little bit of almond smell in it. Marasmus oreades, very tasty. Yes, and I was about to leave. And again, every time you're about to leave, you discover some cool stuff. You see that? This is Auricularia auricula judae. Beautiful. Very young ones here. Which is a very close cousin of Auricularia mesenterica that we've seen. But this one is a bit pinkier in color, and it really has the shape of a little cup. You see. And this one is also edible. It's the black mushroom of the Japanese soups. It's quite steep. So this is it. That will be enough for today, I guess. We've seen a few species, quite a few that are quite interesting, I think. A couple of auricularia species, actually it's the first time I see both of them. Pretty cool. Clitocybé geotropin, which comes under calcareous soil, and a rare Pluteus species. I think it's a Pluteus, but I'm not 100% sure. For the rest, I'm sure of the identification. So, and Marasmus aureades, that had nothing to do here. But well, it's there. There is no possible confusion either. So what did we learn? We've learned that, well, there are not many mushrooms in this calcareous soil. I think it's not because it's calcareous, it's just the nature of the trees and the fact that it's very full of nitrogen here. But we've learned that there are a few species that are tendency to like calcareous soil, and we've seen one of them. We've seen Clitocybé geotropin. Good. On that, I wish you a very good day, evening, morning, night, and see you next time. Yo!